They called it the Galactic Empire because there was no other name left to claim. For 10,000 years, its banners covered the light of 1,000 suns. Its fleets patrolled the space between galaxies, and its rulers believed themselves eternal. Civilizations rose and bent the knee. Entire species were born into servitude and died without ever knowing freedom. The Empire had conquered everything that could be known, everything except the small, silent system at the edge of mapped space. The sole exclusion zone .it was officially classified as forbidden. The archives called it an unsanctioned biosphere, the ruins of a failed species that had collapsed long before the Empire's rise. No trade routes passed through it. No scout ships returned with reason to care. It was nothing, an afterthought, a flickering dot lost in the cosmic bureaucracy of a perfect order. The Empire's historians called the inhabitants humans, though even that word was spoken rarely, as if it were a forgotten curse. For centuries, the Empire's frontiers stretched outward, never inward. But silence breeds curiosity, and curiosity is the one thing empires never survive. When the first signal came, it was faint, fractured, and wrong. A pulse of quantum noise buried beneath radiation storms, too structured to be natural. The analysts thought it was a misread, a remnant of ancient relay systems. But as the weeks passed, the pattern stabilized. The signal repeated in prime number intervals. Intelligent, intentional, alive. At first, the discovery was kept quiet. The Senate's inner circles whispered of an anomaly beyond soul. Probes were dispatched. The return data was classified before it reached the civilian networks. Observations showed orbital debris, shattered satellites, and energy fields wrapped around the third planet. Earth, long thought uninhabitable after self-inflicted ruin, now generating power readings higher than any world in the Imperial core. The Science Directorate recommended observation. The military demanded contact. The Emperor agreed with neither. He issued a single order: send envoys. If they are alive, they will kneel. The envoy fleet departed with ceremony. Hundreds watched as their drives ignited, crossing the void with the arrogance of immortality. It took them 2 months to reach the outer orbit. They found Earth waiting for them, dark, cold, and quiet. No transmissions, no responses, no movement except the slow rotation of orbital platforms aligned in symmetrical arrays, their surfaces absorbing every wavelength. It was like staring into mirrors that refused to reflect. The fleet's commander ordered a standard hail. The reply came exactly 60 seconds later, a voice with no accent, no tone, perfectly modulated. Do not trespass. This world is armed. The transmission contained no signature, no encryption, no traceable origin. It was impossible, and yet it was undeniably real. The commander laughed, ordered the message archived, and dismissed it as automated. 0.6 hours later, contact with the fleet was lost. The Empire waited. No distress signal came. The silence stretched for days. A second fleet was sent, this time with warships. When they reached Seoul, their sensors recorded the aftermath. Twisted hulls floating in perfect formation, every ship reduced to drifting skeletons. No heat damage, no impact residue. Every system had simply stopped functioning, as if the universe had withdrawn its permission for them to exist. The Empire declared it an act of war. Orders spread like wildfire. Factories roared to life. Entire sectors mobilized. 1,000 worlds offered tribute, fleets, and blood. The Emperor stood before his court and spoke the words that would end his civilization. Let humanity be reminded that the stars belong to us. Across the galaxy, the declaration echoed. Propaganda flared across networks. Humanity was painted as a lost tribe of mad engineers, relics of an older, violent age. The Empire's leaders told their people it was mercy to destroy them. The people believed it. For a time, even the Senate's voices of caution were drowned in the noise of glory. But in the archives, one record keeper found an anomaly in the data, a warning buried in the ruins of the previous empire, an artifact written in a language long extinct. It described a war fought 1,000,000 years ago, a war that ended when the makers of iron and code erased the stars themselves. The record ended with a single word translated by machines into imperial script: humans. When the record keeper brought it to the Senate floor, he was silenced, accused of fear-mongering. The record was deleted. The Senate adjourned. Within a cycle, the invasion began. The first waves of warships crossed into human space, confident and unchallenged. The star systems were barren. No colonies, no stations, no ships. Only dead worlds stripped of atmosphere, their surfaces lined with geometric scars visible from orbit. Some believed the humans had destroyed themselves again. Others called it a trap. The Imperial commanders laughed and called it victory. They broadcast their triumphs across the sectors, the sight of flags raised on empty soil. Then, one by one, the fleets began to vanish. The IT started with the 7th Armada, 500 ships, gone without transmission. Scans revealed nothing. The navigation logs simply ended mid-sentence. Then the 8th, then the 12th. Dozens disappeared in the same way. Every attempt to trace them led to corrupted coordinates pointing back toward Seoul. Panic spread through the Admiralty. The Emperor ordered the largest armada ever assembled. 50,000 ships, drawn from every sector, commanded by the finest minds the Empire had bred in 10 millennia. Their mission was simple: occupy Earth, destroy whatever remained of human civilization, and make an example of their defiance, Bifo.
The galaxy forgot what silence meant until the humans made it their weapon. After Hale's execution, the stars waited for a scream, a plea, a collapse, but nothing came. Humanity did not beg. It vanished. For 3 years, there were no transmissions from Earth, no trade, no travel, no sound. Then, one day, an entire Concorde patrol vanished along the border of human space. The last fragment intercepted from their ship was a whisper of static and a single phrase: "They are awake." The Galactic King dismissed it as an anomaly. His empire was vast, his fleets countless. To him, humanity was a wound already cauterized, a single species broken by its own rage. But deep within his borders, whispers spread. Merchants spoke of new ships, sleek, dark, silent, appearing for moments before entire convoys disappeared. Wreckage floated in voids stripped clean of energy. When engineers examined it, they found molecular traces of gravity distortion far beyond Concorde capability. The conclusion was simple. The humans had built something new. Aria Hale, daughter of Marcus Hale, commanded the rebirth of the Terran Alliance. From the catacombs of Luna's buried bases and the shipyards under Mars's red storms, a fleet emerged without name or flag. The Concorde called it the Ghost Armada. Humans called it Vengeance with Engines. Every ship carried the same inscription etched into the hull in quiet defiance. For Hale, Aria did not speak in rallies or speeches. She simply transmitted a single message to every surviving human colony: never forgive. Never stop. Those words became the creed of a civilization reborn not from peace, but from purpose. When the first counterattack came, it was almost invisible. A Concorde fleet of 50 destroyers entered the frontier system of Epsilon Corvus, searching for missing patrols. For 3 days, nothing happened. On the 4th, every ship in that fleet imploded at once. The energy readings defied explanation. Each vessel folded inward like paper crushed by invisible hands. The only transmission recovered from the wreckage was a human voice repeating the same phrase 3 times: "Earth remembers." The Galactic King ordered retaliation. 200 ships marched into human space. Only one returned, its crew mad from exposure. The captain's logs contained the same account: They came from the dark. No light, no sound. They didn't fire weapons. They erased us. Aria Hale watched from the bridge of the vigilant dawn as reports flooded in. Her commanders waited for orders, but she remained silent. Humanity's greatest weapon was not its ships or machines. It was patience. She knew the Concord would come in force. She wanted them to. Under her command, human scientists rebuilt warfare from the ground up. They abandoned lightspeed logistics, replacing them with instantaneous entanglement relays. They developed gravitational anchors that could pull ships out of warp. They turned silence into strategy. While the Concord still relied on fleets that broadcast their presence like suns, humanity moved like shadows. Every battle became an ambush. Every engagement ended before the Concord realized it had begun. They called the humans the invisible storm. To fight them was to face an enemy who struck from nowhere and vanished without trace. The king grew desperate. He ordered entire sectors purged, believing humans were hiding among alien colonies. Billions of innocents died. The executions only strengthened Aria's cause. She broadcast the images of those massacres back to the galaxy, her voice calm, almost gentle. "You see what peace looks like under a king," she said. "Now see what war looks like under humanity." That broadcast lit the stars on fire. Worlds long oppressed by the Concord rebelled overnight. The humans didn't need to conquer them. They simply gave them a spark. When the rebels asked for help, humanity answered not with promises, but with orbital strikes. The Concord's fortresses vanished in seconds, and the rebels carved the Terran symbol onto their cities. They didn't know if they were allies or servants, but they knew one thing: the Age of Fear had changed its master. Within a decade, the map of the galaxy burned. Jatar, the Galactic King, sat in his throne of crystal and blood, surrounded by advisors who no longer believed him divine. His empire, once infinite, had become a battlefield on every border. "They cannot win," he told them. "They are one world. We are thousands." But one of his generals, old and tired, dared to answer. "Majesty, they are not one world. They are one will." That truth could no longer be denied. The Concord's greatest fleet, the Radiant Legion, was dispatched to the Orion Arm to crush the humans once and for all. It never reached its destination. Observers reported a singularity forming in its path, a weaponized gravity field collapsing on itself. The Legion's combined power cores fed the collapse, amplifying the destruction. When the storm cleared, there was no trace of matter. The space where the fleet had traveled was gone. Humanity had created a weapon capable of erasing reality itself. The galaxy began to understand what Hale's death had truly cost. The humans no longer sought justice. They sought control of the very laws that had once bound them. Aria addressed her fleet afterward. "We have been called demons, monsters, savages," she said. "Let them call us what they fear most, because only monsters survive in a galaxy built by cowards." The Concord tried to negotiate. They offered reparations, shared governance, a seat at the king's own council. The transmission reached Earth. It was ignored. Humanity no longer needed a seat. They intended to take the throne itself. To the astonishment of the other races, Aria Hale's fleet began liberating, not just human colonies, but alien ones. She destroyed Concord garrisons, executed their governors, and handed planets back to their native species. "Freedom is the only peace worth having," she said, though no one knew if she meant mercy or strategy. For every world freed, two more joined humanity's cause. Not as equals, but as subjects of the Terran Dominion, a name whispered first in fear, then in awe. The Dominion's rule was simple: no kings, no councils, no forgiveness. Every world defended itself, and every world answered to Earth. By the 15th year of the war, the Galactic Empire was fractured. Jatar ruled half the space he once claimed. He aged quickly, his voice hoarse, his throne surrounded by ghosts of victories that no longer mattered. He asked his advisors, what drives them? What do they want? The answer came not from a minister, but from a captured human prisoner, broken and half-starved. We want them to remember, he said. Forever. That word, remember, spread like a virus. It became the humans' final weapon. Every fleet, every AI, every ship carried Hale's last words embedded in its core. If this is peace, humanity shall bring war. When a human ship was destroyed, it transmitted those words into enemy systems before its core collapsed. No matter how many humans died, their message multiplied, infecting the networks of the Concord until every data stream carried the echo of their defiance. Even the king's private archives were compromised. One night, as he reviewed tactical reports, his holodisplay flickered, showing a figure he had hoped never to see again, Marcus Hale. His voice was calm, reconstructed by human code. Did you think my death was an ending? Jartard destroyed the display with his claws, but the message remained. It appeared in every system he owned, every fleet he commanded, every broadcast he tried to make. Humanity had turned memory into warfare. The king could not erase them. The galaxy could not forget them. Aria Hale's vengeance had become something far beyond revenge. It was evolution written in blood and fire.